Okay, for topic three, we're going to talk about the distributive property. And I will say that in math, we have a bad habit of introducing the distributive property early before we ever get to algebra. So, like when we talk about the commutative and associative properties or the different multiplication and division properties of one and zero, we'll throw the distributive property in then. And it doesn't really have any power at that point. It's just kind of like, yeah, but it's really, really powerful now. So, even if you've seen this before, we really need to see it again with algebra. Okay, so the distributive property is super, super, super important. It allows us to eliminate parentheses by multiplying through a sum or a difference. And if you don't have variables, it's not really a big deal. Okay, so like if you have 7, let's just say you have 7 times 2 plus 3, technically what this does is it says, okay, you can take 7 times 2 plus 7 times 3, which is 14 plus 21, which is 35. Or we could just add what's inside parentheses and get 7 times 5, which is 35. You get the same answer, but there's no oomph here, okay? So when you're dealing with situations where you just have numbers, the distributive property is honestly like kind of more work, okay? It's not useless when you're dealing with stuff before algebra, but it's really, really useful when you have algebra because with these algebraic expressions, sometimes there's not a lot we can do until we can get rid of parentheses. So has a bit more whiz bang, we'll say, when you're dealing with algebra. So again, it still allows you to eliminate parentheses by multiplying through them. So symbolically, the distributive property says if we have something like this, A times in parentheses B plus C, we can rewrite that as A times B plus A times C. The same thing works with subtraction. And this really is a bigger deal with algebra. And it's not going to be so big in this example, but when we go into the next video where we talk about simplifying algebraic expressions, that's where it's got more power. Okay? So for example 3, it just says use the distributive property to remove each set of parentheses. So we're just going to kind of practice it now so that we can apply it in the next video. Okay? So first up, we have 8, and then inside parentheses, so we have 8 times inside parentheses 3x minus 9y. This cannot be simplified. Even once we distribute, it's not going to be simplified. But if this was part of a larger expression, maybe we could simplify then. So let's practice it now. So what we want to do, I'm going to show like all of the steps now, and then as we get more comfortable with this, we can kind of take off the training wheels. But for now, we're going to show all the steps. What we want to do is take 8 times 3x, and then we want to take 8 times negative 9y. Now be careful, we're multiplying a positive times a negative, so that is going to make this overall just a negative. So I'm going to write it as minus 8 times 9y. So I kind of address my sign right away. Okay? Now for 8 times 3x, we just multiply 8 and 3, which is 24, and then we just keep the x. And then for 8 times 9y, we just multiply the 8 and the 9. So 8 times 9 is 72. So we subtract 72y. And this would be our final answer. We got rid of the parentheses. Now, again, not super powerful here. We're just practicing it here. We'll apply it in the next video. Okay, next up we have negative 5 times, in parentheses, 2x squared minus 5x plus 2. Okay, so we're going to multiply each term inside parentheses by this negative 5 outside parentheses. And for each individual multiplication, we're going to address the sign. We're going to decide if it's positive or negative. Okay, so I first start with negative 5 times positive 2x squared. A positive and a negative is going to be negative, so this is going to be minus 5 times 2x squared. Now next, I take negative 5 and I multiply it by negative 5x. Well, a negative times a negative is positive, so this is going to be plus 5 times 5x. And then finally, I get a negative times a positive. That's going to be another negative. It's going to be minus 5 times 2. Okay, so I always address my signs as I'm doing the distributing initially. Okay, and then I just simplify. Okay, so I have negative 5 times 2x squared. Well, I already know it's going to be negative. And then I just have to multiply my 5 and my 2. So 5 times 2 is 10, so I get negative 10x squared. Next, I have plus 5 times 5x. So all I have to do here is multiply the two 5s. So 5 times 5 is 25. So I get plus 25x. And then finally, I have minus 5 times 2. Well, 5 times 2 is 10, so I just get minus 10. And we have removed the parentheses. So again, I address my signs right away. Okay, I don't like simplify the signs later. Okay, finally for part C, we have just negative. Well, that's kind of weird. So we have just negative, and then in parentheses, we have 7x plus 2y minus 9. What in the heck does this mean? Well, sometimes if you see just a negative or just a positive in front of things, like a variable, or in this case, a set of parentheses, there's a hidden 1. So technically what's happening is there's a negative 1 in front of this side of this set of parentheses. So we don't generally write those ones, okay? The times we write ones is if it's just like a constant, but if it's a coefficient, we don't generally write a 1, okay? But just secretly know it's there. So what we have here is going to be negative times a positive. So negative 1 times positive 7 is minus 1 times 7x. And then I have negative 1 times positive 2y, so that's going to be minus again. So I get minus 1 times 2y. And then I get a negative times a negative. That's going to be positive, so I get plus 1 times 9. And then we just simplify. So 1 times 7x is 7x, so I get minus 7x. 1 times 2y is just 2y, so I get minus 2y. And then 1 times 9 is 9, so I get plus 9. So a situation like this where you distribute a negative, all it really does is change your signs, okay? So all of our signs from the original set of parentheses change once we distribute that negative through, okay? So again, this is just practicing the distributive property. We'll get to apply it in the next section where we simplify algebraic expressions, okay? So make sure you know how to distribute. The big thing is just fully distribute. Everything in parentheses gets multiplied by what's out front, and the biggest mistake is signs. So watch your signs, okay?